So we ready to get going then, or?
Yes, sir. We are, we just started live streaming, so we're good to go.
All right, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Ad Hoc Budget Committee meeting for November 5th, 2025. If we could please just take a moment of silence, please. Amen. Thank you. So next up, our 2026 General Fund / Enterprise Funds Budget Update. I believe I'm calling on Ms. Wharton.
You are. Thank you, Councilmember Shealy. Sorry, I was having trouble getting off mute. Just to start off with some revenues we had talked about last time, the subclassification for business licenses. So I just wanted to go through that real quick with everyone. We had to, this year was an odd year as the state law requires us to update the classifications or the class schedules for business licenses. So we went through that exercise this year. In doing that, we looked at creating subclassifications for accommodations and short-term rental establishments. The reason for this is due to the enhanced and disproportionate demands on services provided by the city to those establishments. We had an independent review by a consultant that showed that there is a rational basis for us to create those two subclassifications. So the addition of those subclassifications will generate $2.3 additional dollars in the city's general fund budget. And it's included in our summary budget. Just, you know, because we had talked about, we are working through all of that. So that was the resolution to all of that. Business License Committee, we just had that at 3 o'clock.
Amy,
Yes.
Is there a breakdown between short-term rentals? I mean, first I'll say, I think for the ad hoc budget, I don't want this to be lost on anyone. And this is great news that, and I think a reasonable approach that accommodations business license fees are adjusted to account for the amount of city resources that they take up. I am curious, Amy, do we have a rough differentiation between short-term rentals and hotels in terms of that 2.3?
In terms of the revenue that is being generated by each?
Right.
Yes. Do I have that in front of me? No, but it's probably roughly 2 million for accommodations and 3 million for the short-term rentals, but I can get the exact numbers.
300,000, I'm assuming?
Yeah, sorry, 300,000. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then, so like I said, 3 o'clock Business License Committee voted in favor of the ordinance, and it will go to City Council on November 12th for first reading. Budget summary. We currently have a surplus in the base budget based on some of the work that we did since the last time we met. Just note that this does not include any new program requests or compensation for employees. This is just strictly base budget. We had some recommendations for new program requests. I'll go through those quickly. You know that we had a total of $20.9 million in new program requests. We're recommending that we fund 5.4 million of that. 2.9 of that can come from other funding sources. So the net impact to the budget would be 2.4 million. So for budget finance and revenue collections for me, total amount that we requested was 359,000. We're recommending 2 staff positions, which can be covered by additional revenue that's generated. And Dock Street Theater production manager and part-time stagehand, which also can be covered by some additional revenues generated. Development Services asked for 365,000. It's to reclassify the lead stormwater inspector, or what we're recommending anyway, which will be half funded by stormwater and half by the general fund. So this amount is just the general fund portion. Civil engineer technician, which 35% will be funded by the general fund, 65% by stormwater. So that amount is just the general fund portion. The total amount recommended is $107,000.
Amy, I'm sorry, and maybe it's because I can't see, but are we still on 25, or have we passed over that? You're now talking about 26 recommendations.
This is all 2026 recommendations.
Okay, so we do see a surplus for 25, and now we're on to the 26. Sorry.
No, base budget 2026, right now, we have a surplus. Just base budget without
okay.
any new
Sorry.
programs and without having,
I think I misunderstood you. I apologize.
okay. Fire asked for 8.9 million. What we're recommending is, their number one priority was the suicide, cancer, cardiovascular program, which includes resilient responder program and various equipment and supplies. One of their personnel, that's half a year. And then required life safety equipment, fire shop equipment, and upgrading assistant fire marshal to a deputy fire marshal position. And that total amount is 1.5 million. Executive total amount requested was 665,000. Recommendations were a prosecutor, a paralegal for the prosecutor's office, public information multimedia specialist, and a public information city website redesign. Total amount recommended is 577,000. HR asked for 260, almost 8,000. We're recommending upgrading 2 positions for them. And then information technology had a lot of requests, mostly for our cybersecurity and security reasons. So I won't read every single one of them, but I'll let you read through them quickly if you'd like. Total amount recommended is $1 million. Livability and tourism asked for 258,000. We are recommending the tourism director position. Some of this can be covered by additional tourism funds transferred into the general fund. And then parks asked for $5 million. Some of them are positions, some of them are like the Gilliard cooling tower upgrade can be covered by tourism funds. The Gilliard also can be covered by additional tourism funds for the data room cooling system. The HVAC replacement for Arthur Christopher Community Center, that would be covered by deferred maintenance reserves. So a lot of the parks requests that they had can be covered by other funds. So again, why we're recommending them. You can see some of the other things. All of these can be covered by other funds. Arthur Christopher Gym, covered with deferred maintenance. Waterfront Park, Garden Room, and Trip Hazard can be covered by tourism funds. So the total amount recommended is $1.2 million. In addition to that, there's some that we can, some recreation-related repairs and upgrades that were requested for 2026 that we'll go ahead and cover in 2025. Recreation asked for 325,000. We're recommending a gymnastic coordinator upgrade and golf course recreation coordinator for a total of $90,000. And then traffic and transportation asked for 4.4. We're recommending assistant design specialist upgrade and a road vista sign retroflectometer for a total of 18,000. So the summary of the new programs, with what we just looked at, we added those new programs with a dedicated funding. We still have a surplus of $4 million. Employee compensation, due to the increases in benefit costs and other fact of life increases, we're not able to fund both the COLA and the full salary increases we anticipate will be recommended by the updated compensation study. A 2% COLA would cost $3.4 million. And to implement a half a year of the compensation study would cost $4.2 million, which we talked about at most of our other meetings. One other thing we're planning to do is have a bonus pool established, which would be based on the city's financial performance in 2025. And that would be prioritized over all other non-essential funding. And that would be the start of employee performance evaluations in 2026. So allocation of the base budget surplus, like we talked about, is $6.6 million. Mayor, would like your opinion on prioritization of funding and how the surplus is allocated, whether it be allocated towards the new program items, a COLA, the compensation study, or a combination of all three. Another
Yeah,
option.
so guys,
Oh, go ahead.
so yeah, I mean, I think, we've been going back and forth with staff on what the priorities are. And, we have this compensation study that you all are aware of. It's been, ongoing for almost 2 years now. And we had some issues with the inputs on the original study that, in essence, caused us to almost have to start from scratch. We still don't have the final product of what that compensation will show, but we do expect it to show that there will be, some recommendations for salary increases and grade adjustments for existing employees. And that could run anywhere from a couple of $1 million to $6 or $7 million. And when you put that initiative on top of the new program request, which I think Amy's done a great job of paring that down to the bare minimums in a strategic way, and I think a very helpful way. But then when we look at the other need for a general COLA, cost of living increase, we need to decide with a limited amount of resources, what is our priority? Is it to make adjustments based on the compensation study, which again is still not finalized, or do we want to do a 1 or 2% COLA or some combination thereof? And we don't have to make that decision today. But it is something that I think all of council should weigh in on, because it's not an easy choice, right? I mean, all of them you can justify. And so I just wanted to put that out there to the committee and get you all thinking about what your recommendations might be.
Mr. Mayor, you can't see my hand, but it's Councilman Waring.
Go ahead, Councilman Waring. He asked me to chair the meeting. Go ahead.
Okay. Am I recognized?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, good. Mr. Mayor and Amy, have y'all looked at it if we did 3% COLA, which would I hear you, Mr. Mayor, on the compensation study. I was on the Human Resources Committee 2 years ago, and we've been talking about this compensation study and getting the results. And you're right, it's going to be, I think, increased costs of a good many people in our city. That said, is there any way we could have a situation where we might be accumulating a little money? Because when is this compensation study going to be finalized, that we'll know the result? It'll be into sometime 26, isn't that right?
The study itself should be completed, I believe, within the next 60 days and finalized. And some of it, not to get overly in the weeds here, but it is important. There's going to be some base amount that we need to fund for this, because it's really just adjusting for people moving into the right grades
Right.
that are just. So there's going to be some money that needs to go towards it. We just don't know exactly what that is. Or Amy, do you have some color on that? I know there was a number of approximately 700,000 that was an estimate, or can you give the committee more color on that?
The $700,000 that was just to get, there's some people that are not at the minimum of their grade, and that was to put them in the minimum of their grade.
So again, that's kind of, you could make a pretty compelling case that that's a minimum, right? And would be a pretty big morale thing. And so if you take 700,000, and I believe a 2% COLA is approximately $2 million. So that's 2.7 million. And and we have an aggregate amount of approximately 4 million. So that would leave 1.3 million for compensation, allowances when the final report's done, or, you know, is it the committee's opinion that it should go more towards COLA, or is it something that we would look for funding some of these very warranted, in many cases, new program requests? So it's just a tight year, mainly because of healthcare and some of the bonds that we've put out that has increased our debt service. So this is just a decision, again, like I said, that
Well,
I thought, you know, better having the committee opine on.
listen, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely appreciate doing it this way. Now, going back to health insurance, wasn't part of that health increase going to be passed on to the employee? Wasn't it something like, I don't know?
The net, some of it is, but I mean, which is, you know, when you think about employee morale and making sure we keep, you know, our employees happy, when you give a COLA, even at 2%, is probably slightly below what the cost of living is, I believe, for the southeastern United States.
Right.
And then we do this compensation study that we can't fully deliver on, you know, coupled with increase in healthcare costs. I mean, it's just it's a triple whammy that we're trying to be to manage, if you will.
Well, I get it.
Our
I
employees.
get it. I get it. That's why I said, well, Keith, you talking about even more money, but that's why I suggested the 3% COLA, because if the employee is getting a little bump up, and I understand why, but if they're getting a bump up in healthcare costs, and we give a 2% COLA, I mean, that's almost wiped out by the increase in healthcare costs. I'm talking about to the employee, the average rank and file employee working out there. Well, we get a 2% pay raise, but I have to pay more for my health insurance, and so net difference is, I don't know, not much. Let's put it like that. That's why I was suggesting a 3%, potentially a 3% COLA, which makes the employee feel a little bit better, even though they got to pay more for the health coverage.
Why don't we do this? And again, guys, I really apologize that I've been trying to navigate some of these spreadsheets that have been coming to me, and I can only look at them on my phone over here in England right now these past couple of days. But why don't, if it works for the council, for the committee, let's just assume there's approximately $4 million that we have to figure out how to divvy up. And what we can do, Amy and I and staff, is come up with 3 different options for you all to consider. And, you know, there are certain variations of each of those options, of course, but that we can present and give the pros and cons of each. And then collectively, the committee can make an informed decision to, if you want to go A, B, or C.
Okay, that sounds good.
Does that work?
Well, Mr. Mayor, we're under a deadline here, aren't we? I wanted to ask, when are we due to have this balanced?
So we were having a full council workshop on Monday, and we have to have the advertisement to the paper on Wednesday. So if we do this, I would ask that we have another ad hoc meeting within the next day or two to have it all lined up, so we can have the everything ready for.
Can we not make the decision on Monday? Can we not make the decision on the $4 million, which is approximately 1.25% of our aggregate budget, on Monday?
And just present it to full council?
Yeah. I mean, if that works for the committee.
Well,
let's do $4 million. We got to figure out how to divvy at it.
Let's do this, Mr. Mayor. And it puts a crunch on Amy and her team, but why don't we try to have a ad hoc committee meeting, even if it's Friday? Sometimes Friday. I hate Friday meetings, but anyway, Friday. and we can have the same kind of conversations we're having now. And I know you're disadvantaged, obviously looking at stuff on the cell phone. But on Monday, when the field counts, I think some of the questions would be vetted out prior to Monday, is what I mean. If we had those options to
That's
look
fine with me. Again, I'm trying to. I think it could be a pretty quick meeting. It's just we've been working back and forth, with the time change too. And again,
right.
this is. I'll take full responsibility for this bad timing and me being on a 6-hour
Yeah.
time difference.
Right.
But so yeah, that works for me. I mean, I think this can be pretty quick.
Yeah.
We just have to work with Jennifer on that.
Okay.
Would y'all want the meeting Friday morning or afternoon? What works best for everyone? And we can circle back around with you.
I unfortunately would need to have it in the afternoon because I'm still here and it's a 6-hour difference. So.
All right.
Your afternoon, though, it'd probably be better if we had it our morning, your afternoon.
No, I'm 6 hours ahead of y'all. So if it was
Right.
Your morning, my afternoon, yes. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Thanks.
How
That's
about
on me, right? Maybe it's jet
How
lag.
what about Friday at 11 a.m.? Does that work for everyone?
I'll make that work.
All right.
I think we can make that
Works for me.
There is the
Yeah, I can
Boeing
do that.
groundbreaking is on my schedule, but other than that, good.
What groundbreaking?
Boeing is doing an expansion,
Boeing.
groundbreaking Friday morning.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll schedule it for this Friday at 11.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all's patience on that.
Not a problem.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, one
Yeah.
last question. One last question, Mr. Mayor, before you leave. We're going to
Sure.
kind of decide how to divvy up the a little bit more than 4 million. If there's a funding source needed, shouldn't that also be part of the options? In other words,
Well, the funding source is, so two things. The funding source is what's net left, right? The one thing that I did want to just reiterate that Amy mentioned earlier that is still a work in progress is that, something we've talked about as a committee and as council for, since I've been in office, I know, is figuring out how to ultimately have a component of our budget that would be performance-based bonuses for our employees to incentivize them and reward those who are kind of going above and beyond.
right.
And we're now getting HR to where we can document, higher performance of employees
Right.
through reviews and the like. But one of the things that was mentioned is, usually, and this certainly isn't a guarantee every year, but historically we've had a surplus through salary savings and other just annual savings because Amy in particular has been very good at conservatively budgeting.
Right.
And starting in 26, we would, with savings from the year 25, we would be prioritizing a certain amount. It would go into a bonus pool for employees that would be paid out sometime in the final reconciliation of the 25 budget, and typically, I guess, end of third quarter of 26, and doing that, year over year, starting that as a routine to, again, reward employees. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody caught that, because I think it's what council has been looking to do, generally speaking, at least as I understand it, for a while now, and we're trying to put that into motion.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. When they go above and beyond, I first one to say they should be recognized. And I think bonuses make sense. When they do that, they
Okay,
save the city money.
so that's right, exactly, no question about it. All right, so we'll plan on the 11 o'clock on Friday. We'll have 3 different recommendations for how to break that down. Certainly open to other ideas too, but just to organize thoughts. And hopefully we can get to consensus pretty quickly in that meeting. And again, I appreciate everybody's patience on it.
Okay. All right,
All
y'all
right.
seen anything good over there in England?
We're seeing a lot, man. It has been, I tell you what, nonstop. So we're learning a lot, from affordable housing to water to obviously Union Pier. It's been pretty productive so far.
Good to hear. All right.
Okay. Amy, back to you.
Anything else from you, Amy? I can't see that. Yeah. Or
No,
Kevin,
I
since
don't
you're
have
running
anything
it.
else. I'm good.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else to come before this committee, anybody else have anything? All right. If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.